All right. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about how to get started in tech, how to begin your career in tech and every other thing. It's usually that question I get personally often, like, oh, hi Yomi, how do I move into tech? I get that DM often on Twitter, and it's usually like me having to, like, I don't mind repeating myself, but it's just that frequently asked question, right? And the truth of the matter is there's no particular one way into tech. There are different ways into tech, and those are the things we're going to be talking about briefly. So you might just mind me moving my face across screens. I have my presentation on the side here, and I'll be facing you while I talk. So basically, welcome to the world of tech, or welcome to the tech world. How you break into tech and land your first job. All right, so it's going to be a journey. So if you are able to probably like get your pen and paper, and as well get your binoculars, because we're going to be seeing into the future of your career in tech, right? So just get started. And I'm going to start with this quote. It says, every wall is a door. Every wall is a door. Now, getting into tech has been sort of maybe difficult for some persons and every other thing, but as much as that is a wall that seems like, oh, blocking us or blocking you from accessing maybe like that big career in tech you want to achieve, it's a wall we can break, and basically it's just basically a door. So this quote is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So I just want us to have that mindset that this session is just going to break it down into like um bite pieces for us to easily understand. So yeah, this is basically like the scope of what we're going to be discussing. We're going to be talking about, oh, the tech world, what's really is in the tech world. Some of us might be aware of, how the tech world probably evolves and works. Much recently, we were hearing about AI. Before then, it was about Web3, Web 3.0, Web 3.0. Before then, it was a lot of, NFTs, then Bitcoin, and a lot. So the tech world keeps evolving. So how do we break this experience down for us to understand? Um, we're also going to be talking about, different career paths in tech, your educational pathways. We're going to have a short break just to answer maybe a few questions we might have. We're going to talk about job strategies, your tech interview, how it works, then continuous learning. Then we're going to wrap it up with a Q&A session, like Q&A session. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate asking, but just hold it to those moments, until those moments when we would have our Q&A. So I think it's a good time for us to start. But just before we start, if you are probably on the social media, Twitter or probably like IG or anywhere, please just share, retweets, wherever you probably saw this from. Just share, retweet, and let them know that we're having something major here, because it's going to be an amazing journey. Okay, so let's get started, right? Yeah, so a brief background about me. I think I skipped that earlier. My name is Yomi. I run the leading the advisory session here at Transition School. I lead that aspect. So I try to help people get their right path in tech. Now, I have my background in software engineering, and I've been a software engineer for over 12 years. And during the course of my career, I've always had, people talk about, oh, I want to move into tech. Is it all about coding? What are the roles in tech? Tech is difficult and things like that. And I usually try to make people understand the fact that first, tech is not all about coding. It's beyond coding. Yes, coding and the likes probably like help is more like the backbone behind tech in itself, but it goes beyond that. So now let's talk about the tech industry in itself. Here in the UK, because I believe most of us here are based in the UK, tech itself is like an in-demand there's an in-demand rise in tech jobs. Almost every organization needs someone that aligns with tech, because every single organization is trying to use tech to boost sales, to boost their business. For example, maybe their websites, maybe having to probably like market their products, they want to market online, and a few other things. And it's not every single organization that probably have a website, right? So it doesn't really have to do with, oh, you probably making use of a website. There could be an offline business, but they are using tech to actually move or operate. Banking itself has moved into tech and everything. So you can imagine the UK here that we are, where you want to get on the bus and you have to probably like book a ride. You want to probably like take a train, you have to use your phone. Your phone is more like if you misplace your phone today, you're gonna be like almost everywhere confused and all. Why? Because the world revolves around tech, right? So there are more job openings daily in tech, and at the moment, we have about 1.7 million people that are currently employed in tech in the UK, and this adds 150 billion pounds, right, to the UK economy every year. So you can imagine you just being either adding to this or being a beneficiary of this. So you're either spending on tech or you're actually earning from tech. So I don't know which side we want to be, but I would really recommend that you're not just on the side that is giving money to tech, but you're as well on the side that is earning from tech. So let's move on to the other side. So the UK in itself could add a further 41.5 billion to the UK economy and can create further 678,000 jobs by 2025. And if there are potential job opportunities of 678,000 jobs by 2025, that means there's room for you, especially you being in an economy where it is tech inclined, right? Just like the US is tech inclined, highly tech inclined. Like not Nigeria now. UK is highly tech inclined. So there are high job opportunities, loads of job opportunities in tech, right? I'll just briefly give us um just a few ideas as to why you actually need to get or probably consider getting into tech in the UK. So first, there are record levels of venture capitals being invested in tech startups. By venture capitals, I mean people that majorly investors. People are investing in tech every single day in the UK. Why? Because it is high yielding. It brings profit, right? So every single investor is trying to look for an opportunity to invest in tech. Now, the second itself is the UK has the highest number of tech unicorns. By tech unicorns, those are companies I think that have exceeded $1 billion dollars in transactions or in revenue. So the UK has that in the entire Europe, right? The UK itself has the highest number of tech unicorns. So if there are organizations in the UK that have recurring revenue of over £1 billion or dollars, right? You can imagine how much cash flow is in the UK. Now, also there's rapid growth of UK tech in cities outside of London. We have in Manchester, Edinburgh, we have in Birmingham and beyond, right? And also the UK government highly supports tech, right? I was in a meeting yesterday, and majorly the meeting was just focused on if you've done research and development in tech, right? And it is beneficiary to the UK economy. Then just a few moments, please. I want to, yeah. If you've been able to do a successful R&D in the tech industry, right? You can be a beneficiary of tax is it tax rebates, yeah? So basically you get extra money for doing research and development in tech as a company. So the UK government in itself, as much as yes, they can be all about taxes and everything, they are highly invested in tech. Also, the UK, part of their investment, they have what we call the Digital Skills Council, which is focused on how they can continually develop digital skills. So basically, if you want to get into tech right now, I think the best moment you can is now, where it gets more complicated, right? Now we have the AI revolution and it's becoming like a major thing, and people are scared. Oh, would I probably like lose my job and every other thing? But no, you can't. You don't have to lose your job. How can you quickly align yourself into tech before AI becomes everything? You understand? So let's move on. Yeah. So career paths in tech. And as I said earlier, you don't have to be a techie to get started in tech, right? All you have to do is align. And this is my quote here, right? You don't have to be a techie. You can simply just align with the tech industry, just align with the tech industry, and that's it. So you don't necessarily have to take that BA course or that project management course or that software engineering course. If you want to do, good, right? It's a plus, but it's not mandatory. All you have to do, if you don't want to be a techie in that sense, is you can align with the tech industry. How can I be a customer service representative in tech? How can I be an administrator in the tech industry? You understand? So let's move on to the next thing. So I'm going to use this image to explain different um, roles, that probably exist in the tech industry. It goes beyond this, but these are just some roles. So we have like engineering manager, someone that manages the engineering team. Now, for an engineering manager, for example, yes, it is good you probably like have engineering background and everything, but the most important itself is that you are able to lead. So your leadership capacity is very important here. Obviously, engineers, by software engineers, cloud engineers, and the likes. There are people that are in charge of partnership. So if you know how to handle collaboration, if you know how to manage vendor relationship and the likes, then you can, I mean, third-party vendors, then you can probably be in partnership. You understand? You can be a product marketing person. If you know how to market, for example, if you know how to convince people for sales, so you can move into tech sales. You don't necessarily have to be a coder. So the most important itself is, how do I understand this product and how do I sell it to the appropriate markets, right? You can be a content strategist. How do I strategize contents that will be able to win people over to use our product, right? So you can be a product manager. Yeah, well, you need a bit of tech knowledge for you to be a product manager. But the most important is, how can we position this product for this market? How can we build these products to meet the needs of our customers? That is basically like the core responsibility of a product manager. You can be a privacy manager. We live in the world where we talk about privacy and privacy policy. There's almost no website you visit that they won't say agree and continue for you to accept, the use of cookies and the likes. There are legal backgrounds to that. There are strategies to ensuring that user privacy itself is key. So if you do research around how you can probably be in this particular space, well, if you're a lawyer, you don't necessarily have to move into tech anyway. Just understand what is required in the legal parlance for as a legal counsel and much more. So I wouldn't want to go into details of this, but there are different responsibilities in tech that doesn't necessarily need you moving fully into becoming a coder or learning a new technology and the likes. However, that doesn't mean you if you want to learn a new technology, you can't, right? So before we move forward, right, I'll just want to take a quick poll, which I think I'll just be sharing very briefly. So the poll is basically just to have an idea as to what exactly is interesting you, or what exactly interests you in tech. Unfortunately, my poll is not showing. So if you probably could drop it in the chat. On this list, what exactly excites you the most in tech? You could just drop it in the chat. We have Dre, Abdurrahman, we have Mary, we have Ove. Yeah, you could drop a message. Career growth. Oh, nice, Abdurrahman. Any other person? I'd like to see one more comment, at least.
I created the poll in the chat box so anybody can vote there.
Oh, right. Okay. So if you can actually, oh, money. Mary says money. I can imagine. All right. For a number of us, well, it's probably money. Any other person, maybe you could as well use the poll in the chat. Okay, Dre says money, right? That's fine. So I won't castigate you, because you can see I also emphasize money, right? And I'll just give you a little bit of how I got into tech, right? When I was to start tech, initially it was more of, oh, I saw a friend doing code stuff and I got interested. But that was like the shorter version, because what happened then was I was in my computer training 2008. Then I saw a friend, a young guy as well, and I saw him doing code stuff. Then I was just getting fascinated with the internet because I just got introduced to the internet, and I saw him doing some code stuff, right? I was like, oh wow, how is a Nigerian doing this kind of thing on on a computer, how would a Nigerian, because well, I felt we are not that exposed to the level of being able to develop something for the internet. So he showed me and he said, oh, this is HTML, this is this is that. Then I moved on with my life afterwards. I did a few stuff around, oh, let me build my own website and all those things. Then we did some very crazy stuff, but it was just minimal, just as related to interest. Then I left it at that. Then moving on, when I got into uni, or when I was preparing to get into uni, I partnered with a friend of mine then, and I told him, I said, let's get into what's it called? Magazine design, school magazine, and the likes. I wanted to start that business. However, there was a problem. We didn't have the money, we didn't have the capital. So I thought to myself, I said, okay, you know what, Yomi? Um, you have some skills around designing websites. Why not use that skill to make some money, right? And now, once you've made the money, you can now go back into your magazine business. I tell you, it's over 12, how many years now? 2008 till now, I'm still looking for the money for magazine business, right? So the focus has sort of shifted from my magazine business, which I'm definitely not going back to money, right? Yeah, money itself is very important. There are creative opportunities, innovation, and the like. So thank you very much for your feedback. Um, so basically, oh, this is where I'm going. So the next question mostly I get asked itself is where do I fit in tech, right? We've talked about the fact that, oh, you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to learn a new language or new technology or anything. However, what if I even want to get into a new space entirely in tech? So these are certain roles, for example, and this is we have a quiz on Transition School, that's transitionschool.uk/quiz, where you are also able to run like an interactive quiz and get a feedback, in less than 2-3 minutes, you get a feedback. But the quiz itself has been structured in this line where we have from the more analytical parts to the less analytical parts, right? So if, for example, you find yourself as someone that is more analytical, or you love anything around strategy, you're more strategized as a person, right? Then roles that you should most likely go for is probably like something around business operations, or probably something around research, or something around analytics, right? By analytics, I mean you work with data and try to analyze data to make business decision, right? By biz ops, that means you're more focused around business operations in tech. By research, obviously, like what are new trends in tech? What are new opportunities for this business in tech? So you probably would be more focused around the research. If you're someone that is more around like obviously finance and everything, budgets, and you like sealing deals, then obviously you should probably be maybe in finance, or probably like corporate dev, right? So by corporate dev, you could probably like be a fintech developer, for example. You're more focused around um, um, anything that helps um, within the financial space. Any solution that is around the financial space, or you can actually look for career in fintech or something related, right? If you're someone that probably loves leading people, you try to like organize people to work together on a particular project, or you love working across departments, right? Then someone like you could probably be in project management, you could be in product management, you could be in operations. I would differentiate between project and product. So project in itself is more like, oh, we want to set up a laptop development or laptop manufacturing industry, for example. So you as a project manager, you are more like in charge of that project in itself, and trying to ensure that um it is well delivered within the time frame, within the budget, and also within the resources that are being um, uh, provided, or that is expected to be provided. So your most important responsibilities are more around, let's meet up with time and let's be able to achieve what is needed within the budget. But for a products person, you're more aligned towards let's say we have WhatsApp. We want to develop a WhatsApp product. So you are in the life, you're in the life of that project almost for life, right? In the sense that you're trying to ensure that WhatsApp as a product is usable, it meets the needs of the customers and as well meets the needs of the business. And you're also working with the engineering team to ensure that they are building the product are right. So if there's going to be anything like what we call blocker, like anything that's going to hinder that, maybe like a face of, so let's say you want to work on a feature in WhatsApp, say maybe like WhatsApp status, you want it to show in a particular way. That's a feature that has probably been requested by business. So you work with the engineering team to ensure that, okay, that feature is properly built. Then you work with customers to ensure that that feature works to what they need. That's like difference in that regard. So you could, as I was saying, you could be someone that prefers leadership, then you'd be focused on maybe leadership or projects. You could focus on project management, operations, or products. If you're someone that loves persuading people, you love influencing, you could actually be in marketing, in sales, in business development. You could be a content, sorry, you could be a tech influencer in that sense. You could be a technical writer, actually. You could be a technical writer, write stuff that actually convinces people to be able to use a product. If you're someone that probably like you love working with teams, or sorry, building teams and relationship, you could be in HR tech. You could be a tech recruiter. You understand? A tech recruiter doesn't necessarily need to know everything about tech. The most important itself is you have the foundational knowledge. So you could be a tech recruiter if you're in HR. If you're someone that is focused on, let's say, maybe you love user experiences and the likes, you could probably like walk around maybe customer success. You could be in product development as to UI in itself if you love customer experiences and the likes. So those are like certain responsibilities that you could fit in tech.
Yeah.
Oh, someone wants to say something. Damilola. Okay, I think that's an error. So yeah. So basically, that is if you want to move into tech. So the first thing I usually ask is, what are your core strengths? What is your background in tech? So if, for example, you're to take a course with Transition School, we won't just take you in and like, oh, come and take a course. No, we would actually have a one-on-one with you and assess your background and like, okay, how does this fit in well with you? We review different aspects as to your personality. We ask you to probably take the quiz. Then based on that, we help you now make that decision that, okay, this is the route you should follow in tech. So this is more like a summarized version as to using the roles you've probably had or your personality to determine which role fits you in tech. So we move on. How do you now get started, for example? What are the pathways you should probably follow if you're getting started in tech? So you could probably like take an on-demand online course, probably like from Udemy, Coursera, and the likes. You could probably like, follow self-learning resources, look for different resources online, just merge them together here and there and study. And you could probably choose to do a live bootcamp. Different people learn in different ways. So I won't say this is what you should follow, right? But in most cases, it's been saying that identify that people that learn in a live environment where there's like active tutelage, right? They learn faster than people that have probably like had to do on-demand courses or probably like self-learn. I will give an example for myself. When I started officially, right, I was more of self-taught. And for about 3-4 years, I was learning HTML, just HTML. I had my normal day job then, and I was managing, struggling to learn because I was trying to actually, I was going the second route, self-learning resources. I was just the likes of W3 schools. I'll just go there and see what they have. I'll try and read up, go to another website, try and follow, see what they have and the likes, right? But it's really slowed my pace until the moment I actually officially took a course from someone that was able to teach me one-on-one. So sometimes it might be best that you probably like go for maybe like a live boot camp like we do, or probably, well, if you prefer, if you want to save money, you could probably do the on-demand and probably like seek mentorship. But one thing that is very important on the foundation of all of this is you need active mentorship, right? You don't just learn on your own because it's easy for you to wander off, especially because the tech industry is quite dark. So you might not be able to understand, oh, which path to follow, what path not to follow. So that mentorship part is very important. So I'll move on to the next thing. So the next thing on for us to discuss. It's just more like if we have questions, we can probably discuss. Else we probably could go on maybe like a 2-3 minutes break. Just probably some of us to probably get water and all. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask. We have about 5 minutes for this. Dia, are you asking a question? Hello, Dia. Okay, I think he's not. Anyone asking a question? If you want to ask a question. If you probably want to take a break, you could let me know, probably like a message or something in the chat.
Okay, I think I have something to say.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So I think one of the challenges that we could be facing in learning tech is what you've highlighted just right about the learning. And I think I as a person, I think I've been having challenges.
Your audio is sort of low. I don't know. It was good before, but it went off.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Can you hear me better now? So I saw like one of the challenges I feel that we're having in tech is our mode of learning currently. And I think that's what you highlighted now. And like for me as a person, I think my major challenge has been learning on my own or learning by myself. So I think it's gonna work better for me if we could have like a one-on-one or a live class, just like the one we just finished earlier. And also I'm trying to see how we can even intern under the company so that we could practice what we have we've been taught, and just to show some practical work on what we've been taught. Because yeah, as already said, the tech world is very, very big and so bogus, and one could just get carried away and feel that you're in the right path, whereas one is drifting away from the primary course which one wants to study. So I think that's what I have to say.
All right, thank you. That's Abdurrahman. You took the Agile class, right?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I was trying to be very sure of which Abdurrahman it is. All right. So thank you very much for that feedback. And that's actually the truth. When it comes to learning, for me, I believe learning with a set of people in class and as well one-on-one helps faster as compared to if it is just you trying to figure by yourself. And it's one of those things that actually led to how we structure our courses at Traditional School. We ensure it's live. Do we want to probably like sell on demand? Yes, we can, and just like leave it at that. But and it's easy for us to just say do on demand with us and we provide you mentorship. But it goes beyond just you learning. There's also that part of you being experiencing that participatory, having that participatory experience, it's more rewarding. That's I think my comment. So thank you very much, Abdurrahman. I don't know if any other person wants to say anything before we.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So like I said at the beginning of the class, and I'm glad you were able to pick a slide out, which actually talked to a concern that I personally have presently, like I mentioned at the beginning of the class. So I've actually been in the IT space, like just being like an IT service support person for a couple of years, but I need to get more out of this. Just like trying to look into more value, like trying to transition into another career path still within the tech space. So now navigating that particular part is the slide which you talked about, which you mentioned, just looking at it doesn't really break down what I want, what I need.
Yeah.
So I would appreciate if you could look deeper, or probably maybe talk more on something that has to do with, or maybe it might be something that has to do with talking one-on-one or something. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, we could actually have a one-on-one because we usually do that for every single. It's a free thing, right? We have our one-on-one. Usually we chat for detailed sessions and the likes, but we felt over time that it's easier to just make people understand anything, having that session and just so basically all I'm trying to say is you can book a one-on-one. That's transitionschool.uk/chat. But I'll just give you like an overview. Now you said you were in sales, right?
No, I mean IT support.
Oh, you were in IT support. Now I'll
Yeah.
give you a very good route you could follow. But before then, I will also ask one more question. Your IT support, what were you focused on? Were you focused on probably like just fixing systems or Microsoft services, software solutions, or which aspect?
Technical services, first level and second level support.
Oh, great.
Provision of the technical service support. Yeah.
Okay.
With regards to all Microsoft Office 365, Active Directory, general overview of up to the highest level as well too.
Oh, that's great. Now I'll give you a route that I've seen two persons that are quite close to me, and we've worked together. The route they went through, which is basically cloud engineering. For someone like you that has done IT support, having to work with Azure AD, having to work with you've definitely like worked around like Microsoft Exchange and the like. So you understand how this right? It's easy for me to talk about like these transition journeys because I've worked in HR, not completely, but like I've worked in partnership with HR. I've worked in projects. I've worked in products. I've worked fully as a software engineer. I've worked in cloud engineering. So I have some sort of like this 360 experience in tech, and I've worked with Azure. I've had to like deploy services for organizations, Microsoft services and the likes. So knowing you have this background, it's easy for you to just move into cloud engineering. Why? Now, because you have like in-depth knowledge as to experiences people have when it comes to some of these online services, with what you probably have in Azure, for example, you can easily move into AWS, and it's just a change of name as to resources that they make use of. You can easily move into that. So if at all I want to recommend, just based on this that I know of you, move into cloud engineering and you're good. And cloud is a huge market. People are looking for DevRel, that's developer relations, DevSecOps, that's dev security operations. They are looking for core cloud engineers. So DevOps basically. So there are different routes for you in DevOps, basically. I hope that helps.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I'll move on to the next phase of this conversation, which is not just you moving or finding a way in tech, but even landing your first job, because there are two sides to it. You getting started and you landing the job, which leads to the money part, right? One thing I think I should just point out here is this is the most technical part of everything. As much as it's the most technical part of everything, if you can crack this, it's easier for you. One foundation, however, that you need itself is the knowledge, because it won't make sense that you're applying for a job that you don't know how to do or execute. So the journey between the knowledge and you landing a job, there's one thing that is very important: working on practical projects, your depth, not even like how long you have been in it, right? Your depth. And one of the things I think we try to do here at Transition School is we try to ensure that your projects, what you work on itself, are more hands-on than just theoretical stuff. For me as a person, I hate working with theory. That's my personality. So you cannot imagine me trying to join a class and all you're telling me is 5 ways to do this, five approaches to do that. No. So and another thing itself is the fact that you get into job in 4 weeks or 12 weeks doesn't mean you finish your course and you just land a job like that. There's a lot of things that you need to do in between that phase of you completing a course and you getting to land a job. What is in between? Practical. You need to keep working on real life realistic stuff, right? And you working on a real life realistic stuff can take between 3 months, 6 months, a year, right? The most, I think, for you to move into tech and get a very good job, the most itself is a year. as long as you're consistent practice, consistent working. The least is probably like 3 months. And 3 months now, all of this now depends on which role, which job you probably like jump into. You understand? So you probably could have like, let's say, some business background. You move into business analysis, for example, and you're able to land a job 3 months in. You probably move into software engineering and you take a year, right? So it all depends on which route you follow. So I don't want to sell that fairy tale of, oh, just move into tech and in 2 weeks you land a job just like that. It doesn't happen by magic. There's a lot of work you yourself have to put into it, because the tech world itself gets complicated per time. But as long as you can break into it, it's easy for you. So navigating the the tech job market. So the first thing itself is you need to identify your target role and industry. If you're getting into tech, or probably like you're trying to apply for a job in tech, the first thing itself is, what sector is it, and how does this sector itself align to me? If you're someone in finance, it's easier for you to get into finance tech or fintech. If you're someone in healthcare, it's easy for you to get into healthcare tech. You understand? I have someone that was a medical doctor. It was one of my bosses when I was interning as a social media manager at one time, early 2010 or so. And he was a medical doctor. He had a digital design firm, basically graphics design and the likes. And when he moved to the US, he started, I think, he moved to the US. Before you know, he started doing some tech stuff, moved into Amazon, and now his focus itself is on health tech. He has his own software as a service platform now that is focused on health tech, right? So you don't necessarily have to just move into an industry that you have no idea of. So first, as I said, identify your target role. What role am I applying for? And as well, the industry that you want to move into. Now, the next thing itself is, that's the previous slide was an error. The second thing itself is you need to tailor your resume and your cover letter. I don't believe in one size fits all when it comes to resumes. And that's why job search itself is work in itself. Like job search, it's work in itself. So you need to find a way to actually tailor your resume or your CV to that job description. See, once any job puts out a job description, that is the cheat code you need to get into that job. I'll give you some examples. I had applied for a job that they needed some technical skills that I had not acquired at that moment, but I actually had other technical skills, right? So because I knew I was lacking those two skills, what I had to do was, first, let me even include it in my CV that I have the skill. That's the first thing. I have that skill, but I'm not lying, because I had to now at that moment go and take a course on that particular skill. Now, the name of the skill itself is GraphQL. I never had an idea as to what GraphQL was, right? So I started doing research and everything on it. And during the course of this session, I would give you more details as to how I scaled through. But basically, I was able to scale through the first phase, which was the ATS, that's application tracking software, which is basically like a tool, a robot that's just scans through your CV and tries to see whether what is in your CV aligns with what is required for that job. So you have to arrange your skills, your experiences, your accomplishments, ensure that those keywords are in your CV. You understand? Especially those keywords that are in that JD that job description. If you don't do it, forget about it. Your CV most likely will not scale through. Your years of experience, it actually has to match the number of experiences, because thousands of people are applying for jobs. Now, you now come from nowhere, maybe from Nigeria or UK or anywhere, and you're now trying to apply with a CV that just does not match what is, maybe you just submitted your CV that you've been using for 20 years and just submitted and expect that one random recruiter will look at it. No recruiter will look at your CV. The ATS looks at it first. Then it now streamlines it to maybe like 100 candidates that most likely matches. Then the technical recruiter now takes it up and now scans through some of these CVs and say, okay, this one is good, this one is not good, and the like. So you have to first scale through that first guy, that ATS. So moving on, because of our time, I have to be very fast about this side. You need to build a strong online presence. Don't go and crop a random picture from one of your old pictures and put on LinkedIn. Go and ensure it's a professional shot. a professional picture. Don't use your wedding picture. I had made that mistake once. I had used a part of my wedding picture, right, on my LinkedIn. Don't do that. So also ensure that like your LinkedIn is well updated. If you're someone that is maybe like in software engineering and the likes, talk about software engineering stuff, maybe on your LinkedIn or your Twitter. If you're in design, talk about what you do. You understand? It further proves that, oh, this person knows what he's doing. You understand? You can work on a community, build a community where you talk about, or join a community where you talk about, tech stuff. You understand? Engage with people on social media. Third thing, leverage on your network. If you can join a professional network. When I found a gap in the Nigerians in the UK community, I created an NI UK tech community, and it's on WhatsApp. And so far, people are really, really taking advantage of that. I've had people, I still had conversations during the week, helping certain people around how they can apply for a role, how they can prepare for interview. You get to meet people. You see job openings and the likes. Mind you, at Transition School, we offer career support services that can help you through all of this process. Whether the CV you want it reviewed, whether your LinkedIn you want it well optimized, whether itself generally you just want a guide through. Maybe you want us to guide you through your interview process as you scale through. You understand? We do all of this just to help you. The most important, again, is the money, right? As much as the job. Then another thing, I try to apply to companies, not just the job openings that you see. So you can send a mail to a company that's these are your skills, right? Especially on their career page, there are a number of companies that say, oh, something like can't find the job you're looking for, send us a mail, right? So there are different roles that could be available, but they don't put out there. So you can apply to companies, send cold mails, right? To some of these companies, not just the job openings. I think I made a mistake here as well. Apologies about that. So send cold mails, leverage on your network, work on your CV, use keywords over and again. And lastly, keep learning. Don't stop learning and don't stop developing. Talk about what you're learning on social media. When you engage other people around what you're learning and the likes, you see people, oh wow, you're learning this, you're doing this, you're building this. Build a public portfolio if you can. If you can build a website that displays some of the stuff you've been working on, the projects you've been talking about. That's if you're in software engineering or product design, for example. If not, just keep talking about newer knowledge that you're learning, you understand? Because it also helps people recognize the fact that this guy knows what he's doing, right? Or this guy knows what he's saying, even if you don't know what you're saying, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing itself is you getting to ace your interviews. So how do you ace your interviews? I'm just going to rush through this. First, civic submission, which I had talked about earlier. The second itself is so basically these are stages that you follow when it comes to interview processes. It's usually first CV submission. I talked about the ATS, how it streamlines your job application or your CV that you submit, or cover letter and the likes. I hate cover letter, by the way. Recruiter call. So recruiter will call you and like, oh, we saw your CV, we're impressed, and blah, blah, blah. The truth of the matter is when they see your CV and they call you that they're impressed, they are really impressed about your CV. It's now left for you to now convince them that they can recommend you ahead. So that's an opportunity for you to actually ask questions about the role. Now, they will ask you some questions around, oh, do you have these skills? Do you have that skill, right? Take note of those skills, especially if you want that job. Take note of those skills, right? And I wouldn't advise that you just say, no, you don't have that skill, right? I wouldn't also want you to say you are learning that skill, especially if you see that it is a job that you want, right? You can say, yes, I have this skill, I have that skill, I'm improving on this and the likes. The truth of the matter is the technical recruiter or the recruiter will not ask you details at this stage. They are only asking to know whether they want to take you ahead to the next stage. So once you get those details, ask them questions as well. What are you looking at for this role? How many years of experience and blah, blah, blah. Take note of that and use that to prepare for your next stage, because once you scale through recruiter call, the next is most likely your interview with the hiring manager or probably a technical interview, depending on the technicality of the role. So take note of those, because those are most likely questions you're going to be asked in the next stage, which is probably interview with hiring manager or technical interview. Interview with hiring manager is basically just to see how you best fit with the team. But technical interview is going to look at your technical skills. So it's going to be a lot of show me how you do this, show me how you do that. The next interview is going to be more around your culture fit. or behavioral behavior as a person itself. So how you fit into the company culture and every other thing. Then obviously the final thing itself is final call and negotiation. So how do you answer interview questions? I have like this acronym STAR that I've listed here, but I spoke with someone lately and the person says STAR L, not just STAR. And it means situation, task, action, result. So what does this mean? So basically, this is when they ask you an interview question, it is expected that you actually respond using this. I'll give you an example. So the question itself says, can you tell us about a time that you have supported your manager or a team to achieve a target? They don't want to just tell a story. They want you to give them a response in a structured manner. And a best structured manner is something where you're able to talk about the situation, right? The task that you did, the task itself that was assigned to you, the action that you took, then the result. Then the L part is more like the lesson you learned. So this is an example here where we have in my previous role, the manager wanted us to increase the quality in production line to achieve company targets. That was the situation. You've seen how that has been detailed. The next thing itself is the task. I was asked to support this as I had been in the role for several years and my quality had been the highest across the team. Then the action, you talk about the action and as well results. One thing you see in the results here is it's quantified. You are able to put a number to the achievement in itself or the results in itself. Then the L itself is the lesson. What did you learn? What's the new thing that you learned? What did that particular thing, what did that experience give you as a lesson? You understand? So you can imagine me just rambling here and there, not giving a proper response. Can you tell me about a time that you have supported your manager or a team to achieve a target and you just talk about random stuff? You do not put it in more structure. It gives you lesser chances compared to someone that gives more structure. And as well, this itself reflects in even how you display in your CV in itself. There's something we call the XYZ approach. You did X, you did X, and you're able to achieve probably like Y, and the X itself was maybe like the achievement in numbers, something like that. So when it comes to your CV, you use XYZ approach. When it comes to like responding to interview questions, you probably use the STAR approach. You understand? So that's basically it. And I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today. I've talked for almost an hour. So in the next maybe like 2-3 minutes, if we can just ask our questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer. I hope it's been helpful so far. Questions? Anyone with a question? I think Ove said he's going to ask at the end of the session. Do we have any other further question? Are we there, or it's just me?
Yeah. All right. Is this program, is it continuing again, or this is the end of
okay.
the transition into tech?
Okay, yeah. So we actually have an upcoming event next 2 weeks on the 27th. So the session is more detailed in the sense that we are going to be talking about different. So most of these things that I like rushed in talking about, we'll have different resource persons come and talk about them in details. You understand? And yeah, I think that's basic. So we're going to be having different sessions. It's a 3-hour duration. So there are going to be different sessions around CVs, talking about you working in an organization in the UK, dealing with racism, and dealing with handling your first job in tech or first job in the UK. That question itself, it comes a lot. So we have this UK Tech Career Summit happening in the next 2 weeks. That's going to be on a Saturday as well by 12 o'clock. So I think we can have more of this by then.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, that's great. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question?
Hi, good evening to you. You've answered the question I wanted to ask.
Oh, great. But what question was that going to be?
If it was going to continue for another time. So
Oh, great. Oh, great. Oh, great. So on that note, I just want to say thank you guys for joining. It's really a pleasure having you guys here. For anyone that's still looking at probably like transitioning into tech, we have our next cohort starting on the 29th. That's going to be Monday 29th of January. So official class starts on the first weekend because classes are more of weekend. So if you're looking at enrolling, you have, because you joined today, you have a 20% off. You can sign up for the forthcoming cohorts, and we'll be looking forward to hosting you. If you want career support, career services, and the likes, I've talked about them briefly. You can as well go to our website and probably like book a session or reach out to either myself or Derry. And as well, if you need any other form of support, we're more than happy to assist. If you want a one-on-one session just to review or talk about maybe like your pathway in tech or so, we're more than happy to support. So on that note, I just want to say thank you very much for joining. Apologies, I'm having to spend like 2 extra minutes in wrapping up. We would love to as well hear back from you, maybe your feedback around the session. So I'll just be sharing the link for you to share your feedback just very shortly, just a few seconds, dropping that in the chat. Yeah, so if you have any feedback as regards to this session, please feel free to use this link, talk about us on the social media, and hope to see you some other time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you very much.